Live, this is News Channel 8 at 6 on your side.
It is primary election night, and within hours, we should know whether Charlie Crist or Nikki Fried will take on Governor Ron DeSantis come November. Good evening. I'm Stacey Scheibel.
I'm Keith Kate. Thank you for joining us tonight. Let's get right to it with your local election headquarters team coverage. Jack Royer with Nikki Fried supporters in South Florida and Justin Shecker at Charlie Crist gathering in St. Petersburg.
Nico Clemens is covering a tax increase that's on the ballot for Hillsborough homeowners. But we're going to start with Jack Royer in Fort Lauderdale.
Keith, Stacey, good evening from Fort Lauderdale, where Nikki Fried is expected to arrive at her election night watch party in just a few minutes. Classic rock hits are playing on this live music venue speakers at this point. The energy in the room is good among campaign staffers who are excited after Nikki Fried has capped off a week of campaigning by bus across the state, casting her own ballot today and encouraging other Democrats in the state to do the same. Nikki Fried capped off a long campaign at her polling place in Tallahassee, casting her vote and encouraging her supporters and Democrats across Florida to do the same, believing that this primary will come down to turnout and confident that she can get out the vote.
We feel excited. We feel the momentum everywhere we go in the state. We are just starting to finish our 7-day, 8-day bus tour. We started last Tuesday in the Panhandle. We feel that people are coming out, they're voting. They know that if they want to win in November, that I am our only shot.
After a cabinet meeting in the state capitol, on her way to her campaign night event, she visited polling places across Florida.
We are all here today making sure that we are turning out the vote. Your vote is so important.
Campaign staff in Fort Lauderdale tell me they're hearing good reports about voter turnout, which they believe benefits the Fried campaign.
We have been having 800 plus volunteers that are on shifts all throughout the days, that are talking to voters, that are interacting with them, and making sure they understand that democracy is on the line.
Fried has been saying she believes she is the only possible chance that Democrats have of beating Ron DeSantis. She'll have to beat Charlie Crist first. We will be here all night watching to see the results with her. We've not seen her in this venue yet, but she's expected here sometime after 6 o'clock, potentially in the next few minutes. Live in Fort Lauderdale, Jack Royer, 8 on your side.
And Nikki Fried's opponent, Charlie Crist, a former Florida governor who wants that job back again, this time as a Democrat.
His supporters are eager to hear some good news tonight. They're holding a watch party in St. Petersburg, and that's where Justin Shecker is tonight. He continues our team coverage from there. Justin.
Keith and Stacey, good evening to you both. Congressman Charlie Crist has been critical of nearly every decision Governor DeSantis has made in the office he once held. With 3 decades of experience in Florida politics, he maintains he's the better choice to challenge the governor in November.
Charlie Crist cast his ballot this morning in St. Pete after concluding his campaign with a primary eve rally in his hometown.
Florida's beautiful, beautiful. But she's not a stepping stone. This governor thinks she's a stepping stone. Yeah. She's not. Florida is super special. To me, I love Florida. I love my fellow Floridians. You all deserve love, not hate.
Crist says Governor DeSantis hasn't done enough to address rising rent, home and property insurance prices in the Sunshine State.
You deserve somebody who's got your back, somebody who will lower property insurance rates, somebody who will fight to make Florida affordable again. I mean, it's next to impossible to buy a house in Florida unless you're a millionaire or a billionaire, and most of us aren't.
Well, the governor already has record-breaking campaign fundraising. Crist says he believes help is on the way from national Democratic donors if he secures the nomination.
Well, number one, it's Florida, okay? As I said, it's the 3rd largest state in the country. We haven't had a Democratic governor in far too long, and this is a great opportunity to get that done. He's a mess, and I was a good governor.
And if elected governor again on day 1, Charlie Crist says he'll sign an executive order to protect a woman's right to choose. The doors open for the Crist primary night election party shortly after the polls close at 7. We're live tonight in St. Petersburg. I'm Justin Shecker, 8 on your side.
And in addition to voting for candidates, some people are also voting yes or no on an added tax in certain school districts, including Hillsborough. Nico Clemens is live at the Election Service Center with how things are going there. Nico?
Hey, Stacey, we're in the media room where in an hour the results will show up on this screen. Those two screens right there behind me, that's where they'll track the live results. And then over to my left, you see that room over there. The blinds are closed now, but that's where they'll have a group of individuals counting the votes there. But we're here to make sure everything goes well. So far, so good. No hiccups, according to officials here. But we'll tell you the results, or what's going on rather right now. 61,000 people have voted today. That's 28% of voters. Hillsborough County, we talk about the tax. Hillsborough County Superintendent wants people to support raising property taxes. If approved, the increased millage would provide the Hillsborough County Public School District $146 million annually for 4 years. He says 75% of that will go directly towards employee compensation. Talked with several voters today. There's mixed reaction amongst them.
We've all been through too much with the inflationary prices.
The children are the future of our country, and I was a teacher, so it's important.
And we anticipate hearing from the superintendent a couple of hours after the polls close. You all will hear from him later on tonight. Live in Hillsborough County, Nico Clemens, 8 on your side.
Political reporter Evan Donovan joining us now with his thoughts on the election. So what are you hoping to learn once the votes are counted here in less than an hour?
I really am interested to see what impact abortion rights will have on this primary. This year, the Florida legislature passed a ban on nearly all abortions after 15 weeks. Then the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. How women, and to some extent men, will react at the ballot box could be a game changer, particularly for Nikki Fried in the governor's race.
And, you know, races like that are top of mind for people. But what else is on the ballot that maybe people aren't paying attention to, but you are?
A couple of things. There's a contentious Hillsborough judges race that will also give us a view into the importance of abortion rights in this election and therefore November. The incumbent judge ruled against a minor earlier this year who was seeking an abortion. That brought on a female challenger to him. Could cost him his judgeship in a race that most people wouldn't have thought twice about. I also want to know whether Hillsborough voters will approve that millage tax. Remember, voters approved 2 increases in Hillsborough to their own taxes in 2018. One of them was for schools, but inflation and recent financial mismanagement by the school district could kill that tax increase this year.
Something else a lot of people are watching not only locally but nationally, because there's broader meaning when it comes to some of these races and the Trump impact on all of this.
Especially in Florida. So beyond the governor's race, I'm watching Congressional District 13. Anna Paulina Luna was the nominee in 2020, but she lost to Charlie Crist, who is obviously now running for governor. She is running again on the Republican side with an endorsement from former President Trump. But some conservatives think he chose incorrectly, and former prosecutor Kevin Hazlett has turned this into a tight race. There's been a lot of negative advertising between the two of them. If Republicans go against Trump's pick, it would likely make that seat a closer race in November, and it would show Florida voters drifting further away from Trump, which would be good news for a possible 2024 run for a certain governor.
Yeah. Anna Paulina Luna got that endorsement early on with Donald Trump.
Last year.
So she's been running on that for quite a while. We'll see the impact it has.
Thanks, Evan.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, so it's shaping up to be a pretty stormy evening across inland portions of the Bay Area, especially in Polk County right now, where we have a big storm with a lot of lightning and torrential downpours. That's 98. That is the Polk Parkway. There is downtown Lakeland, so you can see quite a lot of very heavy rain and a lot of lightning concentrated in a small area. There's likely going to be some flooding right there. That rain extends eastward across Auburndale all the way north to Polk City. That is I-4, just to give you an idea of where we are looking here. As we zoom out, scattered downpours across Hardy, DeSoto, and also into Highlands County. Nothing that big yet, but everything's going to be coming together over the next hour or two. And also another big downpour right on top of Homosassa Springs, right down 98, which is US 19 on the east side of Chesawitzka. As we look at the forecast through the next couple of hours, most of the storminess is over inland areas. Some of it will try to get back towards the coastline, and just a few of those showers will succeed as we head through the evening hours into the overnight. Also, what we're watching across the tropics right now is the potential for development. 3 areas that we're tracking. We'll talk more about that and your forecast into the weekend in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Jeff. When the governor suspended Hillsborough State Attorney Andrew Warren, we heard several examples of how Warren had allegedly gone easy on criminals.
But is that true? Tonight, 8 on your side is diving into one of the cases that drew a lot of criticism. Investigator Masa Saidi joins us live with details.
Stacey Keith, back in June, a man was accused of trying to kidnap 2 girls. Tonight, we're looking into what happened soon after that man's arrest. The question is, did Andrew Warren's prosecutors do enough? On June 12th, David Daniels was arrested for child abuse and false imprisonment. Court documents state Daniels followed the victims, 2 girls he did not know. Hillsborough deputies say he hit one in the head multiple times. Thankfully, the girls got away, but soon some claimed so did the suspect. And the blame put directly on one man, Hillsborough State Attorney Andrew Warren.
Did he request detention? No, he did not.
The case specifically mentioned the day Governor Ron DeSantis suspended Warren. Daniels, the suspect, was released on bond after the alleged kidnappings. And State Rep Mike Beltran was outraged.
They're saying that is an example of how your office was soft on crime. What do you say to that?
Well, let's talk about the one case that Representative Beltran referenced. We don't make decisions about bond. Judges do. He's picking an example of a case where we didn't prosecute that we're actively prosecuting.
So what really happened?
David Daniels.
We obtained an audio clip of Daniels' first appearance. Here's what Warren's prosecutor told the judge.
Your Honor, his violent history consisted of an out-of-state 2022 assault. I do not know the disposition in that case.
The prosecutor says nothing more. In less than 1 minute,
So you're not to have contact with these victims?
The judge sets bond at $104,000. 3 days later, Daniels is released. Lee Perlman is the former assistant state attorney in Pinellas.
If this case was before you, would you have asked for detention?
Because of the involvement of children, especially children this man has no association with, because of the danger that poses, I think it would have been appropriate to ask for a higher bond. They could have asked for a GPS monitor.
The suspect was entitled to bond. Although ultimately the amount is the judge's call, Perlman says the prosecutor could have asked for higher sanctions or more conditions in this case.
Yeah, I mean, what happened here is horrific, right? It's the stuff of nightmares for parents.
And Warren says the suspect is in a state hospital right now. And he also says that his office filed the most aggressive charges they could in this case. The case is set for trial in November. Meantime, we found that the suspect did have 3 other recent, more minor run-ins with police, but these documents that I found would not have been before that prosecutor during that first court appearance. And as you guys know, I was a prosecutor. I did arraignments, and it's a lot to juggle. She likely had up to 100 cases and just an hour to prep. So another part of this.
Yeah, and you just said hundreds of cases. This is just one of those cases. What is Andrew Warren saying about his record?
He doesn't want to be judged just on one case at all. He says that during his time in office, crime went down nearly 30%. And he says that was in partnership with police, but it's also due to his policies.
Thank you, Masa.
Well, if you have something you'd like Masa to investigate, you can call our 8 on Your Side helpline at 1-800-338-0808.
U.S. Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg was in Tampa today to announce a $12.6 million grant for the port. That grant will help pay for a new berth at the port to accommodate larger ships and to process cargo faster. This grant is part of the $1.5 billion Rebuilding American Infrastructure Act. Secretary Buttigieg says that increased capacity at Port Tampa Bay will help the entire region.
We've got to invest in every part of our supply chains. That's everything from the quality of our roads to the efficiency of our train systems to ports like here at Port Tampa Bay. When we're able to move goods more smoothly, that is something that reverberates and ripples out through our entire economy.
Port Tampa Bay says the increased capacity will help bring more jobs to the port and will help move construction materials and large bulk cargo shipments.
Well, how toxic is red tide?
Well, we know what it can do to you if you eat contaminated seafood, but what about the airborne risks for anyone near a balloon? Still ahead, troubling findings in a new study of people affected right here in the Tampa Bay area.
And coming up in sports, the Bucs gearing up for Saturday night's preseason finale.